Hello everyone, this is the first video, hopefully of many, that I'm putting on YouTube. Canop Craft here, and in this video I will be making a homemade fletching jig to fletch arrows with. Start out by cutting a 8-inch long block off of a 2x4. This is all made out of scrap materials and things that are just around the house. So grab 3 clothespins, and to 2 of those clothespins you're going to drill, countersink and drill holes, and the same location on each one. It would be on the inside of the clothespin and somewhere around the middle of the part that you pinch with your fingers. Just as long as they're at the same height. Now they don't look like they are in the video, but they are from the top. They have to be the same distance from the top of the clothespin. Then you're going to take the block that you cut, and with a ruler or combination square is what I'm using, you're going to mark 3/4 of an inch from each end of the block. And then you're going to draw a line. And then you're going to want to take one of the clothespins that you drilled a hole in and put it up against that line with your ruler combination square, just to get an idea of where you want to put that screw that's going to hold that clothespin onto the base of your fletching jig. You want a good height so that you can use a tall feather, or a wide feather I should say. If you're doing like a natural, like real feather fletching, sometimes they can get pretty wide. So I usually try to give myself as much space as I can. Once you get that spot marked, put some glue on the clothespins so they won't move once you get them set in place. Here I'm just using 1-inch drywall screws. You can use 3/4 drywall screw. You can use a longer drywall screw, just as long as it isn't longer than the 3.5 inches of the 2x4. You want it to be tight, but you want to still be able to move it slightly. You want it tight enough to be clamped in place, but you're going to want to be able to move it to square it up. Once you get them secured down, you can take your combination square or whatever kind of square you have, and square each one of them up. And they should be, once you square them up, they should be at the same height. So that should make it to where it holds the arrow nice and straight once you get the other half of the clothespin on. Now putting the other half of the clothespin on, it's a lot easier if you don't do it the way I'm doing it in this video. I decided after I filmed this that it was much easier to take the spring off of the loose half of the clothespin and put it on the side that's already fastened to the base, and then just slide the other half underneath the pin. It was much easier that way. This was kind of a struggle, as you can tell. But once you get them on there, you're going to want to get a piece of thin piece of plywood. In this video I use luan, which is what I've always used when I've made these. The luan is just a good thickness. You can use thicker plywood if you have a scrap piece laying around, doesn't really matter. But you're going to want to make a piece that's 3.5 inches wide at least, and 5 inches long exactly. So my 3.5 by 5 inch piece, I'm going to take and measure down the 5 inch length and mark 1 3/4 inch and 3/4 inch, and then on the 3.5 inch, from the 3.5 inch width, I'm going to mark 1 1/4 of an inch. And once I have that marked out, I'm going to draw a box, and I just use the rule off my combination square because it's already the right size box. I just have to put it up to the 1 1/4 mark, and then you're going to cut that out. And here I am on the bandsaw just cutting that out. It's not anything that has to be perfect. Just, it's just a roughly that size is what you need. And then you can take that piece back to your base, and what I've done is I've stuck a dowel in between the clothespins and set the piece on the end, drill the holes, countersink the holes, which is what I think I'm doing right now. Yep. And then once you get the holes countersunk, put a little bit of glue on the end of your base. And tighten it down. And what you're doing is you're just squaring that up with the 2x4. And this piece that you're putting on right now is what allows you to get the proper angles or degrees on the fletching. And right, this is a high-speed video of making a pocket for the position indicator, and that is the third clothespin, which I'm just take and cut down in the bandsaw to very thin. It's actually just a hair over 1/8 of an inch, which is the size you need for to fit snugly in the nock of an arrow. So then I take that'll be my indicator, and I use just a piece of 80 grit sandpaper on a block to make a point on it, and that's it. Take an arrow. This one's already fletched correctly, so if you have an arrow that's already fletched correctly, you can use it as a guide to setting this up. So your first fletching goes straight up and down. If you've already fletched an arrow, obviously that's how you would set the vein on, is straight down. So that means that your indicator will point straight to the right or left. In this case, I'm making it to where it points to the left. It doesn't really matter, because once you have a blank arrow with no veins on it yet, it won't matter if you had set it to the left or to the right, just as long as you marked 1 in that spot that you want. But the reason I do it this way is because right here I'm marking the 3rd position, and you can't mark a 3rd position at the top. So mark your first position to the left, and you'll just mark it just by drawing a 1 or writing a 1, and then you'll have the 2. And this is upside down because of the way I filmed it, but you can get the idea of what I'm doing there. So now I've got my positions marked. I take the 3rd clothespin. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, you need 4 clothespins. I take the 3rd clothespin and turn it inside out. And so I'm using the pointed end of the clothespin as the part that pinches. So it's backwards and then turned around. And then I take 2 pieces of paint stirrers that I've sanded the bottoms to make sure that they're perfectly even with each other. And I take that clothespin and open it up, and then put a little glue and smash the clothespin down on the glue, and then clamp it and let that dry. And that is what you're going to use to hold your veins in when you're fletching. And it will slide in between. When you put an arrow in the clothespins on the jig, that piece will slide down on top of your arrow so that you can get the fletching on straight. Now, if you want helically fletched arrows, this jig won't work for you, but you could alter the clamp, the vein clamp, and it would work just like any other jig. Right here I'm making a little spot to store that clamp in when it dries, just by taking another piece of paint stir stick and drilling a hole in it, countersinking it, putting a little bit of glue, and then screwing it onto the back of the jig. And I'll just be able to, when that's dry, that clamp's dry, I'll just take the clamp and be able just to clamp it right on that little tab that sticks up. So it makes it convenient because everything's all in one spot and you don't have to lose pieces or whatever. So here I'm putting the arrow in, obviously already been done. I didn't have any that haven't been fletched yet. And put the indicator in. The green feather is the green vein is the one that sticks out away from the where you grip your bow. Just showing here that how the piece fits down in there, and just make sure that it's straight before you push it on, which I didn't here, but I fix it right there. And that's how you do it. That's your homemade fletching jig. If you like this video, please click like. And if you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.